Thank you so much for clicking on this video. You can call me Twinkle, call me SheIsTwinkle, or call me Antoinette. As long as you're calling my name, that's all that matters to me. Y'all, I am here to give y'all my take, my review on Love is Blind. This is season 6. Every season gets crazier. And if you are familiar with this channel, y'all know that I absolutely love Love is Blind. So, without further ado, I am ready to jump right in. These first 6 episodes that came out were crazy. They were long as well too, so I'm sorry I'm late, but better late than never. So the first episode starts off as usual, 15 guys on one side, 15 girls on the other side. Nick and Vanessa Lachey, they come in, they do their introductions, explain to them how the experiment works in hopes of some of the couples saying, I do or I do not at the altar at the end of these 4 weeks. As far as the castmates, we do not get to see all of their storylines play out. Only the main ones or the ones that were worth captivating our attention. However, in the first episode, you do get a glimpse of at least 5 seconds of each castmate so that we can see the variety of dates that are out there and how everybody interacts with one another. And then we finally get into our first meaningful couple in the pods, being Trevor and Chelsea. Trevor is 31 years old. Chelsea is 31 years old as well. Prior to going into his date, Trevor was concerned because he said that a lot of women prejudge him based on his looks. He's really buff. He's muscular. He specifically said that people think I'm a low IQ meathead. And I'm like, oh, dang. I mean, I could see how they would think that, especially because he has a mullet. But he said, in all actuality, he has a great sense of humor and a kind heart, and he thinks that good people deserve good things. So, do the good guys finish first or last? We shall see. He gets into his date with Chelsea. They seem to be having a great time. It's day 1. They, oddly enough, bond over the fact that they both have dogs, and his dog's name is Chelsea, and her dog's name is Trevor. Sounds like a weird match made in heaven. So Chelsea asked him, tell me 5 things that make you smile. His response was, he loves dogs. He loves a very sunny day. He loves butterflies. He loves a good love movie. Like, he gave 2 examples, The Notebook and A Walk to Remember. And I just had to pause my TV like, wait, did he read like a book or something? Like, is he talking to a dating expert? Because I don't think that any man in this world on any dating TV show has ever named movies like A Walk to Remember with Mandy Moore. Yeah, that I love The Notebook. I love A Walk to Remember. What man has seen and loves A Walk to Remember? None of them, unless their girlfriend made them watch it. Maybe he was in like a really deep, loving relationship and that's how he's familiar and aware. But I was kind of melting a little bit. Oh my gosh, you have to be a paid actor, but whatever. And his very last one was a fresh cut line. The fresh cut line and the dogs was the only guy answer that he had, but it was sweet. So it kind of showed where he said that he has a kind heart and he has a good sense of humor. That definitely showed in his response. Now, her response, on the other hand, mind you, it was tell me 5 things that make you smile. Her response was a sunset, a good cold Coors Light, beer, and put those 2 together and you have a match made in heaven. I'm like, girl, that wasn't 5. That was 2, like 2.5 if you combine the combo. Maybe they cut out the rest of her answers, but I was confused. But whatever, they had a great date. So the next person that we see Chelsea with is good old Jimmy. Jimmy is 28 while Chelsea is 31. They just simply talk about their jobs. He said that he works in software, but I guess it was too complicated to explain, but he does work remote. That definitely fits her schedule because she is a flight attendant as well as an event planner. So she needs somebody that's mobile that can travel with her from time to time, that's not committed to an office from 9 to 5. That works for them. Moving right along, then we have Jimmy, and we see him on a date with Jessica. Jessica, this girl, she is a firecracker. There's a firecracker every single season, and she is definitely one. Now, she actually describes herself as a first round draft pick. She is absolutely beautiful. She's gorgeous. Of course, he can't see her, but they are vibing. They feel each other's energy just on this first date alone. It is easy conversation. They discuss their ages, which they are 28 and 29. He absolutely loves her laugh, which she thought was very interesting because she said she's been told that she laughs like Fran Drescher. Yeah, I can't say her name. Y'all remember Fran from The Nanny? The show, it used to be on Nickelodeon. I don't know, it's probably on another network, but I absolutely loved that show. She said that people said she laughs like her, which I can see it, but her voice doesn't annoy me. They both said that they have a really good feeling about each other. They felt like their date was electrifying. Their words, not mine. She is very straightforward in conversation. She leaves him blushing a lot, but he appreciates that about her. You can tell that she is different from what he's used to dating, but that's what grabs his attention. So we'll keep them in mind. Moving right along, we have what I like to call is the terrorizer. He definitely wanted to leave his imprint on our television. I'm going to call him Maniac Matthew because he has to be certified crazy. They did not do a background check on him. There's no way. We don't know what to expect from him, right? He seems like a cool, calm, collected guy. He's 37 years old. He speaks well, but when he opens his mouth, Jesus, okay? So let me just get into it. He has a date with Jessica. He tells her, I have questions written down numbered 1 through 15. So I would like for you to pick a number and I'll ask you the question, and that's how I'll get to know you. She said, okay, great. She picks a number. His first question was, what is something you think you excel at in relationships? She says, my loyalty and my devotion to my partners. What about you? This dude responds and says, oh, well, I was asking the questions. I wasn't anticipating on answering questions, and gets up and walks out. What? Like, I thought, like, is this a joke? Like, oh, he's putting on an act. He's about to turn around and come back. This is how he gets their attention. No, 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 no. He really is a butthole. He really did get up and walk out. Wait, so you meant to tell me that you were going to ask the questions, but they can't ask you the same question back? Where they do that at? Oh, and as he's walking out, he says, yep, just a dude talking to a wall. He's rude. Anywho, moving on, then we see his next date with a cast member named Sarah Ann. She's spicy. You can tell that she's ready for this first date. He has her pick a number. And the question is, what is one of your short-term goals? She says, one of my short-term goals is to find love. And I feel like I'm at that point in life and blah, 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 blah. And people don't like being judged and womp, 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 womp. I'm saying that because he looks like he is over it. The answer is too long. I don't like your answer. Wrong answer. He literally gets up while she's talking and walks out. Does not say bye, does not say anything. To the point where she's like, hello? Did he just walk out? Then she mouths the words, thank God he's gone. What is up with this dude? Did you not know that you were on a blind speed dating show? Did you not know that when you ask them questions, they're going to answer? He would be a horrible person to interview with. Like, the moment that you don't answer the question correctly within the first 5 words, he's like, all right, interview over. I'm done with you. Zero patience. I don't know if he ever plans on having kids, but Lord Jesus. Okay. Before going into his next date, we see a confessional scene with him and where he admits that maybe first impressions aren't his strong suit, and that's something that he would like to try to get better at and work on. So now going into this next date, we see him on a date with Amber. He asked her a question. Her answer was simple, short, and to the point. And he was like, oh, okay, I like it. I like your energy. I'm like, okay. Maybe he's trying to put his best foot forward. We see the date between him and Amber as the first successful date that he's had on screen for us to see. That leads us into his next date, which is with a Black woman, and her name is Amber as well, and she goes by AD. We actually don't see him ask her a question. She starts off with the question. which remember, he doesn't answer questions, right? But her question is, okay, so what are you looking for? He said, okay, wow. Yeah. And he's preparing himself to answer. He specifically says, I'm not doing this to become a C-list celebrity. She said, okay, well, that's good news. Then he actually goes a step further to say he's not too comfortable with expressing his feelings and all this love stuff, but he's giving it a try. He's a small town guy, and if you give him some time, he hopes to win her over. So she says, is that something that you want to do? You want to win me over? And he says, well, I'm going to try. And so this is very weird because you can see her facial expressions on the screen. And in a sense, I think she's intrigued. And that makes me wonder, as a Black woman on the show, has she ever dated a white male before? Because if she hasn't, then that would be a reason why she would be so tolerant of his demeanor, his disposition, because it's intriguing to her. She let him know that she is actually a city girl, unlike him, where he's a small town guy. She's from Boston, Massachusetts, which when you think of Boston, you think of a little bit more grit, a little bit more attitude, a little bit more, oh, you ain't gonna talk to me crazy. Anywho, he thinks she's extremely sweet, and she tells him, I feel like you're going to shock me. So that was his second good date of the day. Staying with AD and moving on to the next guy that she's dating, we have AD and Clay. Clay is 31, AD is 33. In AD's confessional before her date with Clay, she said that her mom and some of her other family members have told her that she should stop going for the usual type that she goes for, which would be ballers and athletes and players, that she needs to give the nice guy a try. But her quote is, if she sees red flags, then she just paints her nails red. So we see the date between Clay and AD. They're all smiles. He's talking real slick and smooth. Clay appears to be the smooth player type, the evil that she knows. So something that definitely stood out to me after watching AD in her first date with Matthew, announcing her in this date with Clay, AD does some code switching. I don't know if y'all are familiar with it, but it is basically when you change your tone of voice and the way that you speak and the things that you say according to who you're speaking to and what environments you're speaking in. She has a different tone of voice when she talks to Matthew as opposed to when she talks to Clay. When AD talks to Matthew, her voice is very baby-like and innocent, and I want to come off as soft and understanding and kind as possible. Whereas with Clay, she appears to be more comfortable and familiar with him. She recognizes that he's a Black male on the other side. So her tone of voice is a lot different. It's not as soft and sweet. She has a different tone. That's a red flag that I watch out for with her, because you can't have different tones, especially if you're dating somebody in hopes of getting married. Y'all follow me? Okay. So from time to time, they take it back to the men's quarters and the women's quarters and talk about how their dates went. Some people actually reveal who they dated or how they feel about them. On the women's side, we see AD, and she was talking about how she really liked Clay's energy. It was exciting. It was lively. But then I also had a date with Matt, and he opened up to me, and he was actually really interesting. Now, all the girls were very shocked. They gave her the side eye like, Matt, maniac Matt, crazy Matt that walked out on me, Matt, you had a good date with him? And she's like, yes, I did. In this moment, you're seeing that she feels special because all of these other ladies weren't able to connect to him, but she was. Take mental note of that. As we move on to the next couple, I firmly believe that Netflix is dead set on having at least one boring couple every season. You have to spice it up. You have the drama couple, you have the couple that actually may really be in love, you have a couple that's definitely not going to make it, and then you have a couple that is so boring and bland you forget about them. But there's a boring couple every season, and the boring couple for this season is definitely Johnny and Amy. So Johnny, we see he's 28 years old. Amy is 28 years old as well. They have a lot of nice lighthearted conversations. Sometimes they dig deep as well too. Anywho, it was a good date for them. Now we are on the next day because we are back to Matthew and AD. Going into this date, the moment she walks into the room and she hears his voice, her face lights up. From the audience's perspective, you're like, maybe this could be something. Maybe, this could be a match that we didn't even know was possible. It could turn out to be our favorite couple. Let's see how this unfolds. She lets him know that she's been thinking about him and hoping that people are being nice to him. And he's like, oh man, that's so sweet. He told her he wants to let her know how he feels about her, but he's not sure how to express it. He says that she makes him nervous but comfortable at the same time. She said, well, I think you said it right there. That's exactly how you feel. You did perfect. And he's like, okay, I just want you to know that what I'm saying to you, I'm not saying to anyone else. And I don't know why, but with you, it just feels so different. And she is literally melting at every word. Every single date of theirs, you see all of her pearly white teeth, and it is not a front. So we'll put that on ice. Now, back at the women's quarters, we see a short little scene with Jessica talking to some of the girls, and she is just gushing over how her dates with Jimmy have been going and how she really likes him and how now she's considering telling him that she has a daughter. So they go into their date. They're feeling like they're on the same page, and she's definitely expressing how she feels about him. So he tells her, what I'm looking for is to have someone who is accepting of my family, because growing up, I had so many insecurities because my family isn't really well off. She tells him, I just feel like you're such a good person. That wouldn't bother me. I really sympathize with you and empathize with you, especially when it comes to wanting people to accept your family. There is some really important information about me that I want to share with you. I'm scared because I don't know how you're going to receive it. So she tells him, I do have a daughter. She's 10 years old. She is my world. I love her so much. What I can say about Jimmy is that he has no idea what a poker face is. Y'all know when people are like, oh, they're coming, act natural, act natural. And you just act natural, or you just like look down at something, or you're pretending like you're doing something. He would be the worst person to act natural. She can't physically see him, but she can hear him, and he doesn't know how to sound natural either. His response was, how come we didn't talk about that earlier? She did say that her reason for not saying anything is that she wanted to present herself as an individual first. She didn't want people to get to know her based on preconceived notions of who they may think she is because they know that she's a mother. I understood that. I got that. She literally wanted people to go into it blindly and get to know her, which makes sense with the premise of the show. So he tells her, yeah, I get it. It's not a deal breaker for me. And you can see the look on her face where she's unsure of him. And we as an audience are watching him like, this dude is lying. You are a horrible liar. She can't see your face, but she can hear that you're lying. He doesn't know how to express himself. So he beats around the bush, and he's trying to ask her, what about the father of your child? Was this your ex-husband? She tells him, no, I was never married. She was pregnant at 17 years old, and they were together for maybe a year or two, even after she had her daughter, and then they just split ways, but they co-parent great with each other. He's still a part of his daughter's life, and he takes care of her as well too. It's a good situation. It's nothing messy. Now, you can see on Jimmy's face that he looks visibly stressed out. And I would understand his level of stress if Autumn was 10 months old. But Autumn is 10 years old. Autumn has an active father in her life. So why are you concerned? Nobody's asking you to step in and be her father. She has a father. So why is there still hesitation? I just don't understand. When you get married to anybody, you take everything that comes along with them. They're a package deal, whether it is their family, their debt, their pets, but whatever. He said it wasn't a deal breaker and he didn't really know what to say, and they ended up ending their date. We go into his next date that he has with Chelsea. She takes it a step further and tells him that she has some important information about herself that she wants to share with him that could be a red flag, but she just wants to put it out there. And I'm like, Jesus, is it lay it on Jimmy Day? Like, she got some kids too? Because he going to be like, freak this experiment. I'm done. I'm done. Y'all set me up. You could see the look on his face. And she says, I just want to let you know, I got married really young at 18. I was married for almost 5 years. We just decided that we weren't each other's person, and it's okay. We got a divorce, but it was good. And there's no bad blood. There's no beef or anything. Once again, he's hesitant in his response, and you can kind of hear the shakiness in his voice. He's acting like he's been hit with another blow. And he tells her, that doesn't scare me. But he sounds unsure. Then he says, I heard bigger news today that actually scared me a bit more. So sorry for my reaction, but I've been dumped on a lot today. Then Chelsea starts apologizing. And I'm like, girl, what are you apologizing for? You didn't do anything. You just told him you had a life before him. So it eventually gets to the point where he tells her, I'm trying to figure out a way to change the subject so I can collect my thoughts. She starts crying because she feels like she's ruined things with him. And she eventually walks out because she's so unsure of his reaction. And he's looking like, oh, shoot, I done messed up again. He looked like he needs to go take a nap. So now it's a new day. We have Trevor and Chelsea. They're talking about their past relationships, referring to young relationships or high school relationships, whatever. So then that leads her to talk about, I was married before. Didn't I tell you that? And he's like, no, I don't think so. Maybe you did. I mean, either way, it's not a big deal. And I'm like, girl, you need to take notes in your little notebook. You mixing up your dates with him and Jimmy. Get it together, because Trevor is a good dude. Don't be messing up with this one. So he responded much better than Jimmy. He told her, I know you had a life before me. What, am I supposed to act like you never kissed anybody before you met me? That's crazy. I'm not judging you at all. So we see the date between Clay and AD. He starts explaining to her how his ego has gotten in the way of a lot of relationships for him. He's working on himself. But he was like, I have to say this. My worst fear is that we're building this great connection and we fall in love, and then we do the reveal, but we've never talked about our physical attributes. I just need to know, what are your best physical attributes? Because I'm telling you, I can't get on one knee and propose to somebody without knowing that they have the physical attributes that are important to me. That is a deal breaker for me. The physical attributes that are most important to me is nice lips and a juicy booty. And if you don't have it, I just don't see myself getting down on one knee. Now, I am a little torn with this. I understand that they are on an experiment. It's called Love is Blind. I do believe that connection is blind. Maybe even compatibility is blind. But physical attraction, physical stimulation, that's not blind. Every couple that's been successful on this show, they have connected sight unseen, but they also had some level of physical attraction once they saw each other. I think that we're all human, and there's something about pheromones as well too. You have to have some type of natural attraction. And so yes, I do think that he was wrong for trying to talk about physical attributes while he's doing a dating experiment where you're not supposed to talk about it. But you can only respect the fact that he's being very honest in saying, this is very important to me. This is what stimulates me, what appeals to me. However, that's why he went into this experiment. You're also testing yourself to see if you can still love somebody and be physically attracted to them and mentally stimulated beyond what you're accustomed to. Anywho, she told him, I'm not mad, but in actuality, she was mad. That's where I can fault her because, girl, just tell the truth, say how you feel. Instead, she said she appreciated his honesty, but then she goes back to the women's quarters and she's talking about how she's mad and he had the nerve and the audacity to ask her about physical appearance and she's never going to tell him what she looks like. Moving right along, we go into a date with Matthew and AD. He starts off saying, "Hey, you're an awesome girl. I know that you probably have other connections with other guys here. And I'm just going to admit, I'm a little bit jealous. And I just want you to know that I think about you all the time." She's all smiles. Once again, she turns into a good little schoolgirl when she's talking to him. She tells him she feels the same way. And he tells her, "I love the fact that you're kind of protective over me. And I'm starting to become protective over you as well, too." And he specifically says, "You know what? There's only two outcomes in this. It's either you or nothing. The only reason I am here is for you." The words are dripping and she's just catching them and hanging on every word. So she says, "Oh my gosh, you're making my day. I was waiting for this moment. Thank you so much. I'm just really happy because I feel the same way about you." And he says, and I quote, "I'm not embellishing at all. I just want to be as honest as I can. I was so excited after our last date. I wanted to go and call my mom. I need you to know that my biggest accomplishment in life is finding you." He said, "I'm dead serious." Okay. So then he asked her about her dad because he was like, "I just don't feel right thinking about proposing to you. I would want to call your dad first and get his permission." She was like, "Oh, honey, you don't have to worry about that. He died last year, so he doesn't have any thoughts about anything." And he's like, "I don't even know how to respond. That's kind of dark." He didn't expect her to laugh. She was like, "No, it's fine." And I was like, "Okay, well, there is probably some trauma there because that was a little dark, but we'll deal with that on another episode." She asked him if race or ethnicity matters to him. He says, "No, race doesn't matter to me at all. Isn't that the purpose of this experiment?" Which was music to her ears because remember, body and physical appearance matters to Clay, but to Matthew, race doesn't matter, how you feel about politics, nothing. This is an experiment. Love is blind, and I am falling for you. He says, "If you want to leave, I'll leave with you. I'll come around and I'll come and get you. You're my girl. We can leave today." And she's like, "Oh, no, that's really sweet, but I don't want to like leave the experiment." She wants her moment of getting proposed to and the reveal and all of that. So he specifically asked her, "Are you going to tell anybody what I said to you today?" And she's like, "I don't think I'm going to because I'm loving this moment and I just want it to be mine and ours. So I'm not going to share this with anyone." And he's like, "Oh, okay, that works for me." Now, back in the women's headquarters, she goes back and she is talking to her girls, and one of her girls is Amber. Remember, day one, Amber also went on a date with Matthew. That was his first successful date. So Amber is just talking to her friend, AD. "I'm just so excited about my date that I've had with Matthew. He's just saying all of these great things to me. He says that I'm the one. It's only me. That's his only option. And that he can leave with me right now. He said that he knows that family is important to me and he wishes that he could call my dad to ask for my dad's permission first to take my hand in marriage before he proposes. And he says, if you draw me a map, I'll come around and get you now and we can leave tonight together." Amber is so much in her own fairy tale love story when she's telling this story that she's not looking at AD's nonverbal reaction. AD has this look on her face where she looks very uneasy and she's looking like, "Oh, really?" As viewers, we can tell that her hearing this information from Amber is eating her alive on the inside because it is verbatim what Matthew just said to her. Mind you, Matthew just asked AD, "Are you going to go back and tell anyone about our conversation?" She said no. That was perfect for him because he's saying the exact same thing to white Amber. My, how the tables have turned just that quick. So AD does not say anything to Amber to reveal this information in this moment. All AD says is, it's just getting stranger and stranger as the minutes go by, and boom, the episode comes to an end. So I'm just gonna jump right in to episode 2, called The Hunger Games of Love. It starts off in the men's quarters. The men are like getting along with each other this season really well. You do notice that Matthew is very antisocial in the men's quarters. You never see him talking to anybody. He's not revealing who he's dating, but the other men are actually saying the names of the women that they're dating, and they just cannot get Matthew to open up. So keep that in mind. Then we get to a new couple that we haven't seen before, and it is Jeremy and Laura. Jeremy is 32, Laura is 34. I cannot go any further talking about them without saying Jeremy spells his name Jeremy, and it drives me insane. Absolutely insane. I have never seen Jeremy spelled like that. I know I'm not his mother, and I know there is not a rule book as to how you spell names, but I just don't like it. I've even seen Jeremy spelled with a G, and I prefer that over him having an A in Jeremy. That's just stupid, but whatever. He's not my kid. It's not my name. It just bothers me. Anywho, he lets her know he's a simple guy. He really likes Hawaiian shirts. She's like, no, that would be a problem for me. I do not like Hawaiian shirts. He's very playful. He's like, look, I'm not getting rid of my Hawaiian shirts. That's my thing. I like it. They laugh and talk a lot. And something that they bonded over is the fact that they're both OCD, especially when it comes to cleaning and organizing in their own homes. And as an OCD person myself, which I just self-diagnosed myself, but when you find other like-minded individuals, even if it's just friends or people that you can converse with who have the same tendencies, you just kind of nerd out for a moment. So I understood it. I do like them as a couple, but we shall see how far this goes. Then we move on to his next date that he has with a girl named Sarah Ann. Now remember, we met Sarah Ann on the first episode when she had a date with Matthew. Sarah Ann is very different from Laura. Sarah Ann is 30 years old and Jeremy is 32. She's fun, she's spunky, but he doesn't really know what to expect out of Sarah. They talk about life and how life may look together, who would move in with who. So we'll see how this works with them. Moving back to the boring couple, I always make theirs quick. Johnny and Amy are talking about how they celebrate holidays, especially because they're from different cultures. They talk about family once again. He has 3 siblings. She mentions her brother is her person, and since they're connecting so well, she felt like it was very important to let him know that it is possible that at some point in life, she may have to be a caretaker for her brother if it comes down to it, because her brother is on the spectrum and he also has ADHD. So she would always want to make sure he feels loved and safe and protected. He takes it really well. Okay. Moving right along. We're back to the women's quarters. AD is talking to Alejandra. She's talking to Alejandra because she needs to vent, because she says she's so frustrated with these men in these pods and she doesn't trust anything that any of them are saying to her. She doesn't trust Clay and she doesn't trust Matthew. She says that Clay is a walking red flag for her. Alejandra was like, yeah, I had a date with Clay, and Clay even admitted he's not a good person. But then AD says, yeah, but I already know myself. He is a walking red flag, but I'm such a Captain Fix-A-Ho that I'd be like, yeah, we can be together. Practice on me. And I'm like, girl, you do know that this is going to air on national TV. You do know that he's going to see this. You just don't care, huh? You just mad. You big mad today. Okay. Then she goes a step further to reveal to Alejandra. I didn't say nothing the other day when Amber was talking to me, but Matthew got me feeling goofy out here. I was falling for him. I was crying, all of that. And he really had me going for a minute. And I come in here and she's telling me the exact thing, word for word, verbatim, what he told her, down to the details of asking about her dad and all of that. We just see Alejandra looking at her like, okay, we'll see what happens. Boom, fast forward. Of course, Netflix knows that we don't want to see no other date but Matthew and AD, because we got a problem that needs to be resolved ASAP. So I pay very close attention to nonverbal communication, as well as the tone of voice, because that says a lot. That says more than what the person is saying, right? So when AD goes into this date with Matthew, she's confronting him, but she still has on a polite tone of voice. She didn't get crazy with Matthew. She said, I'm just a little confused because I thought we had a great date and you were telling me things that you said you've never said to other people. And I don't discuss these things with other people, but there was a girl that was talking to me and she is literally telling me verbatim everything that you said to her that sounded exactly like the same thing that you said to me. And so I wanted to come and have this conversation with you because me and her have not exchanged notes. She didn't know anything about our conversation. So now that she's saying it, that's really odd. And I wanted to check in with you. Like, it was very nice. Girl, why are you being nice about it? Because she still wanted to leave the door cracked open just a little bit. There's a way that a person can ask a question where they're basically asking you to lie to them or asking you to tell them something that will make them feel good or comfortable in the situation. They know that it sounds bad. They know that it is bad, but they don't want to face the reality of what's been placed before them. So they want you to put some tape on it and make it be all good again. And that's exactly what he did, because the last thing she said was, "It really messed me up. It sounded exactly like what you said to me." So then he says, "Well, that is not true. Are we talking about Amber here?" And she said, "Yes." And he said, "Okay, it's not true. I didn't say the exact same things. Some of the things that I said to you were much more deeper than what I said to her. I didn't tell her that I wanted to call my mom and tell her about that. I didn't do that. I just said deeper things to you." He was like barely trying, but she just needed to hear some type of explanation. Then she starts getting emotional and saying, "I just kind of feel played. I really like you a lot." He's hearing this reaction because you can tell he's a thinker. And so his wheels are turning and he's like, "How am I going to turn this in my favor? Oh my gosh, I've gotten caught." He is like a mental mastermind. For him to say the exact same things to girls and really make them feel and think that they were that special, but it was the exact same thing. And then he iced out the other girls, but you literally stuck with the two Ambers, one white, one black. He had to go into this with bad intentions. It's a sick mind game that he's playing. He has to be some type of sociopath. He has to have internal conversations with himself where he is moving chess pieces in his head and he's like, how do I keep the mind games going? How do I overcome them? How do I win this round? Once he's hearing her response to him and she's still getting emotional, but she's not going off on him, he's like, "I just want you to know I'm more into you. I feel like my heart is beating out of my chest. And if it were up to me and I had to make a choice today, it would be you." And that warms her heart. Like that's exactly what she wanted to hear. He is absolutely 100% an emotional manipulator as well as a sociopath. He needs to stay single. He needs to come with a warning sign. But he's like, "I'm sure you thought this and you thought that." And all those things are still true because if I had to pick anybody, it would be you. And I'm scared too. I'm scared. I'm scared that you're having connections with other people. Do you have connections with other people? And she's like, "Well, yes." So that is him like now trying to take some of the pressure off of himself and putting it on her. Of course, they're in this experiment. They know that there's other people. She's not saying the exact same thing and like making them feel like they're the only one. You're saying verbatim the exact same thing to different girls. Whatever. She was, I guess, pleased with what he had to say. It was enough. And they ended their date and she was smiling again. Anywho, let's fast forward to her next date. Now I'm trying to figure out how this gonna go because her heart is falling for Matthew. But she goes in here with Clay. She tells Clay that he feels like home to her and she feels like she's on an emotional roller coaster. And all of a sudden she starts talking about this situation that she's in and she's literally venting to him about her day and her last date. And she started going through all the details as if she ain't even dating Clay. She's talking to Clay like, Clay is her male best friend that she called and was like, I got to tell you what happened today. I'm so stressed out. Her and Clay are supposed to be in a date. And she is talking about her last date and her stresses with that. He starts getting mad. He gets up. He's pacing around the room. He's getting visibly upset. I don't know why he didn't think that she was dating other people. She never said she was exclusively just talking to Clay in the pods, but whatever. At some point, he cuts her off and was like, what are you talking about? What love triangle am I in? And she's like, with Matthew. He's like, who is Matthew? Oh no, you did. Matthew? If you only knew. Oh no, that's a bad move. That, oh my gosh. Matthew? Him? He was cussing and everything. He started being like, you go for this dude? Why are you even in here telling me about him? That's not even relevant to me. And I understood that part. He's irritated because why is she in there talking about another man? It has nothing to do with him. Do you want him to comfort you or console you in this moment? He's not trying to be your best friend. He's trying to be your husband. What? I think she just got lost in the moment. She starts being apologetic. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to be honest with you. But Clay is livid. And she also has a reaction like, who is he talking to? He tells her that she needs to think about this and he needs to clear his head. I was immature. I should have been able to manage my emotions better than that. I told you I'm not good at this. So I'm going to apologize for the way that I've reacted and come at you. This did catch me off guard. I'm not quitting on us. I hope that you're not, but I'm going to have to just see you tomorrow because this is a lot for me to process right now. And I care so much, but I do apologize because I was wrong for the way I came at you and that was unnecessary. I'll have to see you tomorrow. So she's like, okay. And their date is over. He is an emotional wreck right now. Put a pin in that. So AD goes back to the women's quarters and then she goes to talk to Amber, white Amber, right? She's venting about her date with Clay and how he just went off on her because of his reaction to her admitting to him that another man had told her to leave with him. And she finally admitted that Matthew told her to leave. And so that caught Amber off guard. Amber was aware that they went on a date the first day, but she didn't know that they were like still rocking with each other and they were getting deeper and deeper. Because mind you, Matthew was telling her it was only her. So then Amber, the wheels are turning in her head and she literally says out loud, yeah, I'm going to live out my worst nightmare. Oh, she looks devastated because she's putting the pieces of the puzzle together before AD actually comes out and starts saying the details. So at that point, AD starts telling her, you seem so happy and I didn't want to kill that happiness or your experience here at the experiment, but he literally was saying all of the same things to me. Amber then apologizes to AD. I'm so sorry. I'm such a blabbermouth. I would have never done that to you. I'm sorry. I feel like I ruined your experience. And I'm thinking, Amber, girl, why are you sorry? He said you were the only one. You didn't think that AD was even a thing. I don't think that Amber, white Amber, is wrong in this situation at all. That is all on Matthew. But even still, she starts crying. She's getting emotional. AD goes up to her and gives her a hug. She's hugging her while she's crying. The AD is not crying. And then at this point, Amber says, I think it's time to bow out. And she gets up and walks away. And AD is literally sitting there with a smirk on her face, like she accomplished what she set out to do. I think that she told Amber all of that on purpose in that timing, knowing that Matthew said if it were up to him today, he would pick AD so that she can eliminate Amber, so that Amber is no longer competition. Crazy. But she said, I see red flags and I paint my nails red. She plays these games too. So then we get over to a new couple, still meeting new couples. And this new couple is a guy by the name of Kenneth and a woman by the name of Brittany. He is 26, she is 25. Oddly enough, he's 26 years old, but he is a middle school principal. I've never met or heard of a principal that young. So kudos to him. They have shared spiritual beliefs. We don't actually see them date anyone else. So they seem like they're just locked in with each other. Now, what I can say, Kenneth has two-strand twist in his hair, which is just very odd. And he dresses like he's 40 years old. Most people would probably guess that he's older than what he actually is. Now, Miss Brittany, she is freaking gorgeous, okay? She is Brittany Barbie, Christian Barbie. But Christian, I still know how to be sexy. I'm looking for a husband. That's Brittany. She admits to him that her biggest desire is to be a submissive wife, and he loves hearing that. I can just tell after watching this for 6 seasons, this is not going to work. It works in the pods, but okay, we'll see in the real world. But we shall see how things go with this couple. Quickly running through Johnny and Amy. They have a sweet date again. He accidentally slips up and says, I love you. And she's like, oh, that's so sweet. I love you too. And they're all giggles. Great. Moving on. We're back with Jimmy and Chelsea. This is a follow-up date from their last date in which they had to just go ahead and end the date early because she revealed to him that she had been married and then she got divorced, and he had a horrible reaction. So now here's the follow-up from that date. He apologized for his reaction and she's excited about it. Then somehow they get on the topic of celebrity lookalikes. And she says, yeah, I get a certain celebrity lookalike all the time. I don't personally think I look like this celebrity. She's MGK's wife or girlfriend. And his whole face lit up. He was like, Megan Fox? Megan Fox, you're talking about Megan Fox? And she's like, yeah, I'm not saying it's true. I just get it all the time. And it's just because of my eyes and the hair. And he verbalized out loud, can we get married today? Can we just do this? He is picturing you to be Megan Fox or look somewhat similar to her. And he was very pleased by that. Why would you lead this man astray? You did that on purpose. You tried to figure out a way to solidify your spot by putting that image in his head, but we'll see how this works out for them. Anywho, we see Jimmy and Jessica in their date, and Jessica admits that she was feeling some mom guilt because she hadn't seen her daughter in a while. So he actually did the right thing. He started asking her, what type of things does your daughter like to do? Because he knows that her talking about her daughter is going to help her get through this. He's not totally a horrible person, but he's trying at least. Then he gets to the point where he asks her, do you want more kids? She says, oh, of course, I would definitely be open to having more kids, and I would give them the same level of love that I give my daughter. My obsession for you is obviously growing. I just feel like it's going to be me, but I want you to choose me 1000%. Keep dating so that when you come to me and choose me, I know it's real. Okay. So then we get to Trevor and Chelsea. They have a quick little fun date. There's literally nothing bad you can point out about their connection. So that's enough of their date. Then we get back to Johnny and Amy. Amy walks into her pod and she has, voila, some flowers waiting there. He explains to her how they've become best friends and she agrees, and yada, yada, yada. He gets down on one knee. He proposes. She says yes. They are the first engaged couple of the season. Now, moving right along to Matthew and AD. Their story just gets better and better. And I can say, as toxic and dramatic as it was, I can't lie, we as viewers enjoyed watching it. We like to see how the cookie crumbles, and it's crumbling. So she comes in like, good morning, how are you? His tone of voice is so different than usual. He sounds sad and stressed. He said, going through it. You know the Amber left, right? Do you know why? And she basically says he has the audacity to think it's about him. But she's like, I mean, everybody has their reasons as to why they leave, not revealing the fact that she played a part in pushing Amber out the door. So he asked her, how do you feel about us now? And she says, I mean, I still like you. So he starts sniffling. I know that this cold, heartless shell of a person is not over here crying. Are you serious? Oh, he's putting on a show. So AD says, are you sick or are you crying? Now, at this point, Matthew starts talking about how America just loves the underdog, okay? And America is watching him right now. And he's pacing back and forth because in his mind, the internal thoughts, he's thinking, how am I going to come out on top? So he says to her, I think you're an amazing person, right? But it's unfair to you that I can't commit to the plan that you want. So I'm done. I care about you and I want you to be happy. AD was confused because she never considered this to be an option of an outcome. She's like, what? Are you leaving because Amber left? And he said, I just feel devastated that I broke someone's heart on national TV. America is watching me and I just can't do this. So I'm going to go. When he leaves out, AD leaves and was like, you know what? You show right. You already know she going into a date with Clay. So is Clay now your rebound? Is he your backup? You were appreciating Matthew over Clay, not realizing that Matthew was really playing you the whole time. You thought you was dealing with a regular player with Clay, but Matthew was the supervillain. He was the boss at the end. Finish him, and you couldn't do it. Okay, we'll put that on ice. Now we get to Johnny and Amy. It is time for their reveal. They're so excited, and we see the doors about to open, and right as they're about to open, the episode comes to a close. Bam. Make sure that y'all tune into my next video. It will be a review of episode 3 and 4. And I hope you enjoyed this. Please comment below, like the video, subscribe, and share. I'm out. Bye.